What is going on, lady fellas, and also the fellas? Don't forget the fellas. I mean, we always say fellas, whatever. Welcome back to Just Notes, guys. Today, we're taking a look at a couple new cards for Eternity Code. For some reason, Konami has just decided they just want to do a little sprinkle for this entire set. They just want to sprinkle one or two cards at a time, and we'll slow and steady get there. Today, we've got two new cards, both very interesting in their own way. Let's start off with this guy, Beaming Prosperity. This is a normal spell card. You can only activate one card with this card's name once per turn. This is a very interesting card. Effect. Excavate a number of cards from the top of your deck equal to the number of Prosperous Smile in your graveyard plus 3. And if there are 3 types of cards among them, monster, spell, and trap, add one of them to your hand and send the rest to the graveyard. Otherwise, return them to the deck. Now, this is super... Okay, so clearly this is a Sylvan support card. It's a super interesting card. One of the things that's interesting is that it's like so high risk, high reward that like literally the risk reward on this is insane. I mean, you excavate 3, it has to be monster spell trap the first time because the first time you activate it, you won't have any Prosperous Smile in the graveyard unless you already excavated copies of it. Otherwise, you'd be excavating 4 or 5 monsters, or 4 or 5 cards off the top of your deck. You have to hit specifically monster spell trap in that combination, at least one of each. Then you can add any of them to your hand. The rest of them go to the graveyard, which then will give you triggers on Sylvan effects and such. Yeah, one of the interesting things here is that I don't believe Sylvans generally like to play traps that much. I mean, I played them very briefly. I played it a while ago when I was not very good at the game, and I built it the best I could at the time. And I don't know if I played really many traps at all. So that is a problem for sure because you're going to be wanting to run a pretty even split if you're really trying to use this card, because should this card resolve, insanely powerful in the deck. I mean, really, it's like a insanely power buffed Pot of Duality if it resolves, with the added bonus that it's gonna actually leave everything engraved. That's like you could be dropping, glow up bulbs engrave, princess, what's her name, Rose Princess, and stuff. So there's a lot of good cards, and then just the Sylvan cards themselves get effects on excavation, and I believe they only get their effects if they're excavated and sent to the graveyard, which is the other thing there. But it's just, this card was super interesting to me because it's just so high risk, but so much payoff if it does work out. But like I said, just I don't know if the deck plays enough traps, or if you're gonna be forced to edit your deck list so that you are playing more traps just to make this card a better turbo card in your deck. I don't know, it's interesting. It's like a consistency card, but it's not. It's like a Lure of Darkness, but you don't hit on it as much because you have to hit one, exactly one of each, which could be tough. But we'll definitely see, and maybe the ruling is off there. Maybe Sylvans that get excavated but don't get sent to the graveyard still get their effects. I don't remember exactly how they work, but we'll see. I mean, I still think it can be a very good card, but we'll just see if it's just too much. It needs too many things to go right on that mill or on the excavation. You do also stack the deck in Sylvans fairly often as well, but so that could be another thing. But again, we'll just have to see. And the other card we have here that I think is a little more interesting to most people is a new Barbaros monster. This is Beast Deity King Barbaros. He looks mostly like, Beast King Barbaros, but just one step higher, if that was possible. And of course, he's a level 8 Earth Beast Warrior effect monster with 3,000 attack, 1,200 defense. But for his effects, pretty interesting. First effect, you contribute monster or monsters you control whose total levels equal 8 or more to special summon this guy from your hand. Okay, gets himself out of the hand. It's kind of like a ritual summon, but you don't need the ritual spell. Could be worse. Definitely could be worse. Second effect, you can banish one Barbaros monster face up from your field or from your graveyard then target 2 cards your opponent controls and destroy them. Okay. And the third effect, this card can attack all monsters your opponent controls once each. Okay. So this card's actually pretty solid. Here's the big thing, right? The big thing is people looked. I think people have seen this card. Obviously, it just came out, but from what I've seen, people saw this card and said, "Is this the beginning of a Beast King Barbaros archetype?" I mean, it could make sense. This is a classic monster that was used a lot when it came out. Just because it could have, like the original one could have just been a 1900 beater, or if you had the potential of resolving it, you could just outright win the duel by wiping your opponent's entire board and still having a 3k beater on and going to town that way. But this guy's super interesting. He specials himself from hand by tributing. Tributing isn't always the best because you're probably going to be forced to tribute 1, maybe 2 monsters you control, which can be iffy. But if this becomes an archetype and you are tributing Barbaros monsters to get him out, you then can just banish 1 from your graveyard to pop 2 cards your opponent controls, which is pretty strong. I mean, listen, targeting destruction is not the best form of removal. In fact, it's the most basic and probably weakest form of removal, but removal is removal. You know what I'm saying? So just popping 2 and the fact that it's 2 at the cost of banishing 1 is pretty damn good, and so I will take that for sure. And then just the added bonus of being a, Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, being able to attack everything on the board once each at 3,000. He's also just at 3,000, which means you're probably just clearing over and masses of monsters, which is pretty nice. You get really, really good value out of this in terms of how many cards you could potentially remove with just this guy in 1 turn, which is really, really nice. I like that ceiling. And people think this could be an archetype. Like I said, his second effect is oddly generic, where you can just banish any Barbaros monster from your field or graveyard to target 2 cards and destroy them. That's definitely generic. I guess one of the things is original Beast King Barbaros is you can normal summon him. I don't believe his level changes, but his attack goes to 1900. And then you could just tribute him immediately, special summon this guy, banish the Barbaros from grave, pop 2 cards, and then go into the battle phase to attack multiple things. I'm guessing that's the main thing, but that doesn't make sense necessarily if there's only 1 monster. So we'll see. I mean, I think it definitely points at it, and I don't think this is a bad choice either. I mean, this is a classic monster. If you played Yu-Gi-Oh long enough, if you've been competitively aware, which I even haven't, but I do know that Barbaros did have a place where he was one of the best cards in the game at one point, I believe, and that would make sense that they would want to take a card like that, kind of like Dark Simorg, that at one point was super good in ninjas and stuff, but now could get his own archetype. The other weird thing is most of these things, when we get the archetypes based around an old monster, we get them all at once. I mean, Simorg, we got all 10 cards on the same night out of nowhere. We just got Deep Sea Diva 2 weeks ago that got all 5 of their new cards, came out the same exact night. Thunder Dragons, I believe, came out all on the same night. All of the things we've seen in the last year or whatever, since Konami started doing this again much more often. Usually the whole archetype drops at once, so we'll see, because he is generic in the sense that you tribute any monsters that equal level 8 on your field to get him out. That's generic, and even the second effect that is I know it says tribute a Barbaros monster. You could banish himself to pop 2 cards, which is not the best. You don't really want to. I'd still like to keep the 3,000 body on board and be banishing from grave, but still, it is kind of generic in that way that he can just be used no matter what. It's not like he can't use it if you didn't tribute a Barbaros monster to get him out. So we'll see. I mean, it just seems odd, and he is cool. I think no matter what, he's still a cool, interesting monster. Gets out of the hand, pops 2 cards pretty easy, and then can go in on the battle phase and wipe multiple monsters. Pretty good against strikers. If you can, I don't know. I guess Kaina is annoying, but if the Kaina doesn't pop off, you can just go kill a monster, they bring it back, kill that one, kill the Ray, whatever. Just keep attacking, which is pretty cool, and I like him nonetheless. But let me know your guys' thoughts, like on both of these cards. Like maybe Sylvans do stack their deck enough where like this is resolvable. The problem again is the traps. And this guy, let me know. Do you think this has to be the beginning of a new archetype, or what? Because usually they don't release one card to start. They just do the whole damn thing. But again, we'll have to wait and see. Thank you so much for watching this video. As always, guys, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more news videos as the news drops. And yeah, I'm going to get the hell out of here. Have a great New Year's. It is New Year's Eve. And I guess I'll see you guys in 2020. Peace.